And joining me here in the studio now is Arseniy Yatsenyuk, the former Prime Minister of Ukraine from 2014 to 2016. He is now the current chairman of the Kyiv Security Forum. That's a leading voice on Ukraine's national security and on the country's relationship with its Western allies. Prime Minister, it's good to have you here with us. You are aware of what's being reported in the last 24 hours. Let me ask you, is Kyiv being cut out of its own future?
Well, not yet, because it's up to Kyiv and up to our European partners, and I hope Americans, to define the future peace between Russia and Ukraine. But there is no intention on Russia's side to cut any kind of peace deal. It's another ploy. It's another sham plan, you know. So Russians are just trying to play us.
You say Russia's trying to play you. I mean, have you been briefed at all? Do you know anything about these reports of a Washington-Moscow peace plan?
Here is the thing. There is nothing new in this so-called ploy or peace plan. It's a completely copycat scenario that was presented by designated war criminal Putin to President Trump in Anchorage. That's what my sources told me in D.C.
When you say copycat, you mean that in these 28 points, Ukraine is going to be required to give up territory?
Well, in these 28 points, Ukraine is going to capitulate. That's an issue. You can use different kind of definitions and languages, but in the end, it's a crawling capitulation.
You are the former prime minister. I want to ask you what you're seeing right now with Mr. Zelensky. He is embroiled in his own scandal right now. There's a corruption scandal. Do you think that makes him more vulnerable to any type of demands made by the Kremlin coming perhaps via the Americans?
Well, let me put it this way. Corruption in times of war is disgusting, immoral, and unacceptable. And those who committed corruption crimes have to be behind the bars. But the good news is that, look, for the first time in the Ukrainian history, an anti-corruption agency, this was established under my auspices as a prime minister, started an inquiry against high-profile Ukrainian officials, members of the government, and different cronies. So the thing is that even in the times of war, Ukraine is fighting against corruption.
So you don't think Zelensky is weakened, though, because of this?
Some bad actors try to misuse this issue in order to exert an additional pressure on Ukraine and on Zelensky. But this won't play like this.
Let's talk about how the war is going. It's not going as well as your military would like it to be. Does that make your negotiating position weaker?
Look, this war has been going on for 12 years, sir. An all-out war that Russia waged against Ukraine is for 4 years. So could you imagine what's going to happen with every country in the European Union facing these kind of challenges? It's unimaginable. But yes, we are tired, we are exhausted, we are drained, but we are not broken. Russians do have a lot of manpower, which is cannon fodder. They have the lifeline provided by China. And that's the very reason why we need more ammo and more financial support from the United States. And as of now, Americans are reluctant to provide this kind of support. And this brings me to my next message that, look, it affects the morale of Ukrainian people. We want the free world to stand by Ukraine, not just with the hot air, but with the clear-cut deliverables. Right now, Europeans are doing its best.
Well, I want to stay for a moment with the United States and the support that you are getting from the United States. Last night, I spoke with a member of Parliament, the Ukrainian Parliament. I'd like you to take a listen to what he said about U.S. President Trump and his stance on Ukraine. Take a listen.
I can't blame President Trump that he was pushing Ukraine to something unacceptable. And I hope he will continue to be in the mood to have a real peace, not a ceasefire in Russian interest. So I really want to thank President Trump for his efforts trying to achieve peace. But to achieve peace, this agreement should be in Ukrainian interest too. And I think he realizes this.
Mr. Prime Minister, do you trust U.S. President Trump not to betray the interests of Ukraine?
few weeks ago, I was in D.C. The D.C. is slightly different, let me put it this way. And there is a new sheriff in the town, and there are new rules of the game. So the thing is that we are not allowed to give any kind of excuse to this administration to turn its back on Ukraine. So that's the reason why I understand that we have to stay on message. In terms of trust, I trust only in actions. Only actions matter, not words.
Well, are the president's actions making you more or less trusting of his support?
Look, as of now, he didn't turn his back on Ukraine. He is still undecided, let me put it this way. But we still enjoy the bipartisan support in the US. Mm-hmm. Look at this sanction bill. And Americans are facing midterm elections. I won't say that Ukrainian issue would be a major issue in these midterm elections, but this would dramatically and severely affect the US stance, because the world is watching where Americans are, whether they are ready to support sovereign nation Ukraine, whether they are ready actually to bring to justice Russians, and whether they are ready to call out Russians as an aggressor. So it's about the US reputation, and it's about personal reputation and legacy of President Trump. So my gut feeling is that he doesn't want to be a loser. He wants to be a winner. And
he doesn't have to win another election, though.
Well, look, but it's all about history.
Mm-hmm. Do you think he really cares, though? Do you think that that's what's going to motivate him or U.S. voters, for that matter?
You know, he cares about himself. Mm-hmm. He do really cares. And that's the reason why he wants the Nobel Prize. And I would be happy for Trump to get this Nobel Prize, but not like Kissinger with Vietnam Peace Accord, but with a durable, fair, and just peace.
Well, let me ask you about this durable and just and fair peace. What are Ukraine's red lines tonight? I mean, what is out of the question for you if you want to achieve peace?
You know, here is the thing. I've been always asked about these red lines and some kind of concessions. And I can't figure out what kind of concessions Ukrainians can make.
Could they give up Crimea, for example?
Look, this is completely unconstitutional, and this breaches the international law.
I understand that, Mr. Prime Minister, but I mean, you want an end to the war, and if it requires giving up territory, would you accept that?
Well, you remember the Munich Agreement of 1938?
I learned about it in history class, yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
So this was the similar type of agreement. Mm-hmm. So please cede the land, and Hitler would never invade you. Mm-hmm. What happened in the end? The Second World War happened. Mm-hmm. So never reward the aggressor. And I am not ready even to elaborate on any kind of so-called concessions or red lines. Unconditional ceasefire, period.
If the United States does shift its position, if the support wanes, how confident are you that Europe is going to be able to step in and fill the void?
Well, Europe has already stepped in and filled the void. Because actually Germany and the entire European Union, they are the main contributors to Ukraine's security and to your own security. Right now we need Americans. And
let's be clear there. The United States remains your biggest military aid donor.
No. After President Trump took the oath of the office, Americans started to sell weapons to Ukraine, but not to deliver weapons to Ukraine on the basis of either land-lease or security supplemental. Mm-hmm. So it's a huge difference. And Europeans are paying for this ammo via Pearl program. Mm-hmm. So what is needed, we need American support with the new security supplemental, but there is no will on the American side right now. So Europeans are doing an amazing job, but more needs to be done. Look at the Nordic Baltic countries. They contributed around 2% of its GDP, investing into Ukraine's and their own security.
Well, what about
Germany is 1.1, 0.1, 0.2.
How much confidence and faith do you have in the German government and the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz?
Look, Germany is today is a flagship supporter, and I really praise and I commend both the German people and the German government. But I have a plea to your Chancellor. Mr. Chancellor, please deliver what you've promised on your campaign trail, Taurus missiles. And this would push Americans to provide long-range capabilities with Tomahawk missiles. We need to deter Russians. So let's do it and show to Russians that you are very, very serious in supporting Ukraine to win the war.
But why do you think why do you think the German Chancellor is going to change positions now? I mean, if you look at the numbers, the polls in Germany, a majority of German voters do not want their country to continue giving aid to Ukraine. I mean, the public sentiment is stop with the weapons exports or giving weapons. Why would he change then and commit political suicide?
Well, first, I haven't seen these kind of polls because what I see that the majority of German people still support Ukraine. Second, I believe that your politicians have to be very blunt, open, and frank with your voters. It's about your own security. Look what Russians are doing, everyone in Europe. Acts of terrorism, acts of sabotage, cyber crimes. Look what happened in Poland a few days ago when they actually blown up the railroad. So Russians are going after you, after your security, after your lifestyle, after your countries, after your sovereignty. And we as Ukrainians are at the front line. The second issue is that, look, investing into Ukraine's security and your own security, you're actually underpinning your economic growth. Look at your military-industrial complex. You are and you will be able to provide the cutting-edge technologies. It's an employment, it's taxes. So just be frank and open. And we are living in a completely different world. And this world has the fight of totalitarian regimes against democracies. You're absolutely right saying that you have some kind of domestic political infight, but that's normal. That's the way democracy works. Just go and speak out and tell the truth. And don't care about polls. Care about the future of your country, like we do.
If we have a situation where President Zelensky is presented with a plan, if this is true, and there are many red lines in this plan, what should Zelensky do? If he's not going to agree to it, should he resign?
First, we can craft so-called peace plan only in conjunction with the European Union and the US. So we have to be on the same page. If we hammer out this kind of plan, it means that Ukraine would accept the plan that has been crafted by Ukraine and its allies. In terms of Zelensky resignation, even despite the fact that we are political opponents with my president, but Zelensky is a legitimate president, and I am to defend the institute of the presidency. And the time will come when Ukrainian people will go to the ballot boxes.
After the war.
Correct. And hold free and fair elections. And they will decide who's going to run the presidential administration, I mean, who's going to be in the office of the president and who's going to be in the parliament. But the key precondition is to deliver durable and long-lasting peace with the ironclad security guarantees.
And these security guarantees, you said, I want to, hammer on this point again about the Europeans. The Europeans, if these reports are correct, the Europeans have not been consulted either about this plan. So you've got your country, you've got the Europeans left out in the cold, and possibly being forced to at least consider a peace plan that they did not help construct. That puts you and the Europeans on the same side.
So it brings me back to square one. We need to craft a joint plan. Otherwise, it doesn't work. It has nothing to do with a peace. It's a sham and ploy plan.
What is your message then to President Trump tonight? Because he seems to be the one holding the cards here, at least in terms of whether or not Ukraine is going to be consulted on its own future.
My message to the President of the United States, Mr. President, we really want you to succeed. We really want you to have a very strong legacy. And to get this kind of legacy, you need really to support Ukraine and to be on the right side of history. You have a lot of tools and leverage. You can deliver. You really can deliver a just and fair peace.
Mr. Prime Minister, we appreciate you taking the time to talk with us today and for coming into the studio. Thank you.
My pleasure, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.